Just want to make sure everybody got the notes that they were supposed to do in their journal on Friday. Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend, and we're going to start taking a look at adding fractions. So we started off Friday with adding fractions that have the same denominator, also known as like denominators. Sometimes you'll hear it called that. So if I have 3/7 and I have 2/7 and I'm adding them together, I have to remember that the denominator will stay the same. And all I have to do is add the numerators. So 3 plus 2 is 5. I now have 5/7. Of course, today we're going to move on to fractions that have different denominators. So you're not going to write this down in your journal yet. This is going to be our first practice question, and then I will tell you when it's time to write something in your journal. So this time I have a question where we have 3/5 plus 2/15. So I have different denominators. What I want you looking at with your denominators is seeing if you can turn one into the other. So Mark, when you look at those, can you turn either of them into the other one?
Yep, I can turn 3/5
Yeah.
into
Trying to get around you here.
15ths.
All right, so we see that 3/5 is equivalent to 9/15. So we now have 9/15
Plus 2/15.
plus 2/15. Can you write that down for me?
Yeah.
We have 9/15 plus 2/15, and now that we have the same denominator, we know the rule is that we add the numerators and keep the denominator the same. Excellent. This next example is going to go in your journal, so it's going to go right under the notes that you wrote for me on Friday. So we're going to write down that we have different denominators and we need a common denominator, which simply means that the bottom number has to be the same on both of them. So we want to look to see if you can use one of the two denominators. In this case, we can. So we're going to copy down this example. I've got 2/14 plus 5/7. I look here, I've got 14ths and I've got 7ths, and I recognize that I can use either one of those actually. So I'm just going to keep the 14ths the same, and we'll go 5/7 equals how many 14ths? Well, that equals 10/14. So that leaves me now with 2/14 plus 10/14 equals 12/14. And I'm going to try and put 12/14 in lowest terms. And so my final answer is going to be 6/7. This one's an example of two fractions with different denominators, and we can't do anything to make one into the other. So I've got to try and find the relationship between 3 and 4. So I'm looking for the least common multiples. So I'm just going to go 3, 6, 9, 12, 4, 8, 12. All right, so I know that my common denominator is going to be 12. So I've got 2/3 equals how many 12ths? Well, I'm multiplying by 4. So I multiply by 4 and I get 8/12. If I take this one, I've got 1/4 equals how many 12ths? Well, now I'm multiplying by 3 times 3, and I end up with 3/12. So your assignment today is going to be to complete IXL Grade 7 G5. Grade 7 G5. And if you feel that you've got this figured out and you're ready to go, you can go start working on Grade 7 G5 right away. If you feel you still need a little bit more practice, stay with us. I'm going to walk you through some more examples. If at any point during the examples you want to give that IXL a try, go for it. If you're having trouble, come back, watch a few more examples. So these next 6 questions that we're going to look at are going to come from your homework book. So on the next page in your homework book, there's some work on adding fractions. The next one I have is 3/10 and 2/5. So I have different denominators, but if I look, I can see a relationship between 10 and 5. So I will keep my 3/10 the same, and I'm just going to work on this one. So I know that I want to use tenths, so I'm doubling it. So I now have 3/10 plus 4/10 equals 7/10. So again, when I look at this one, I see the relationship between 3 and 15. I know that 3 times 5 is 15. So I'm going to put my 15ths over here, times 5, times 5. So I have 5 15ths. So I've got 4 15ths plus 5 15ths equals 9 15ths. I can put that one in lowest terms. So let's do that now. I could divide them each by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, and I will end up with 3/5. Next question, 5/8 and 1/6. If I know my multiplication facts really well, right away the number 24 sticks out at me. So I've got 5/8 equals how many over 24? And I've got 1/6 equals how many over 24? So I'm going to multiply 8 times 3, 5 times 3, so I have 15 over 24. 6 times 4, 1 times 4. And I now have 15 over 24 plus 4 over 24 equals 19 24ths. 19 is a prime number, so I know that it's in lowest terms already. I really hope Mark's paying attention to this one because he's going to be doing the next one for us. I've got 3/7 plus 2/3. I look at this and I know that my denominator is going to be 21. And one of the ways I can figure that out every time is I can do 7 times 3. That will always give me a denominator that will work. It won't always give me the best one, the lowest one, but it will always give me one that will work. So if I want to turn 3/7 into something over 21, I'm going to multiply by 3. I get 9 over 21. 2/3, so 3 times 7 is 21, so I'm going to multiply by 7, and I get 14 over 21. Oops, that should be plus, not equals. 14 over 21. 14 plus 9 is 23. Oh, this is perfect since we just worked on turning improper fractions into mixed numbers. So if I look at this, I know that 21 goes into 23 one time with 2 left over. So if you feel that you're ready to move on to IXL, move on. If not, watch the next few examples. All right, this is something brand new for Mark. So he's going to walk us through this one. And if he makes some mistakes, that's okay because that's how we learn. And I want to see you guys potentially see some mistakes being had. So Mark, the first thing we have to do here is decide upon what's going to be a good denominator for us when we've got 5 and 2. What are you thinking?
10.
Okay, so we're going to use 10 as our denominator. Excellent. Can you walk us through your thinking on how you would answer this question? Well, you need to turn 3/5 into tenths, right? Can you turn 3/5 into tenths for me?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you have? So you have 6 tenths. And now you need to turn 1/2 into tenths. All right, so we did it. Now, Mark likes to skip steps, just like lots of you guys out there. But what we're left with here, Mark, I think is 6/5 plus 5/5, and what do you get when you add those two together? You get 11/10. Perfect. With that 11/10, any chance you can turn that into a mixed number?
Yep.
You have 1 and 1/10 is your final answer. Good stuff. All right, we got one last question. Mark's going to walk us through this. Mark, what was the first denominator you were thinking you wanted to use?
24.
You wanted to use 24, and that's because we've got 6 times 4. Now, 24 would work. The problem with 24 is it's higher than we need, and we're going to have a lot of work at the end putting things into lowest terms. So after we talked a little bit, what did we decide would be a better denominator?
12.
12. So let's see if we can see how 12 is going to work for us. So 5/6 equals how many 12ths? Write that down for me. Write down 5/6 equals how many 12ths? 10 12ths. Perfect. Now you do 3/4 for me. 3/4 equals 9 12ths. All right, what's the next step? 10 plus 9 is 19. Okay, so you've got 19 12ths. That's an interesting way of writing it. And 19 12ths is 1 and
7 12.
7 12ths in Mark's tiny writing there. All right, at this point, I would like everybody going on to working on IXL 7G5. If you run into any trouble, go back, look at the video again, see where you're going wrong. If you're still having trouble, send me a message and I will try to help you. All right, enjoy, and tomorrow we're going to start looking at multiplying fractions.